Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Sagittarius. If Sagittarius is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so Sagittarius, our card tonight is the Empress. Always, always a happy, happy energy to have. Okay, and let's go ahead and take a look and see what are these tea leaves going to tell us. And now we have a large R right here. You can see the letter R, uppercase R. So I'm wondering if this is a name of a person or a place. Seems like it could be of importance. Now we also have the letter C that kind of crawled out here. And now I know it looks backwards, but I am seeing it as a C. So we have the letter R and the letter C. And if you would be so kind as to consider liking, subscribing, or leaving a comment, I would love to hear from you. And it is free to subscribe as well. Okay, there is a membership tier on here. It's kind of just like a support tier. I think it's like $1.99 or $2.99 or something. Also, it gives you access to the Discord channel, which is kind of like a chat room. And so, yes, that is available as well. Okay, so we have some interesting. So we have here, it looks like a cat. I'm seeing it as a large cat, maybe a lion. It looks like a lion to me, mostly because of the tail. The tail reminds me of a wand and reminds me of fire, which makes me think, yes, this is probably a very solar animal. Okay, so we have a lion. Now up here, it looks like we almost have an angel. I'm thinking of like kind of like Gabriel or Michael holding a mighty sword. Okay, and then over here, we have a person who is sitting. And I almost see like an exclamation mark above their head. Okay, so I kind of in my mind am almost thinking this is like one of those olden day kind of gladiator versus animal situations. Now, this can be literal actually, right? These things did happen historically, but this also could be allegory. And we might think of this more as kind of an alchemical metaphor, allegory, story to, teach us something more deeply, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm feeling like there is a rising passion, okay? And that's where the lion is. There's a passion, there is a desire for connection, for finding a place that you belong, being among your kin, your tribe, to be in fellowship. The angel represents to me with the sword, of course. So we have this very airy energy, this real reminder of deciding carefully, right? Not just going with whoever is going to be your friend. You know, you can think of when you're young, right? You get sent to school, you meet all these people who probably live around you, right? You start making friends. Maybe it's based on interests or personality, but often it's just kind of like, okay, well, you live in my neighborhood, you go to my school, so we're gonna play, right? And then you kind of fall in with people. You're not very choosy necessarily. And that can end up being a fantastic group of friends and great friendships. It could also lead to some trouble, mischief. Getting in these situations that maybe cause dramas in your life or get you into trouble or, expose you to things that probably, not for the best. So I look at this and it's kind of like, to me, this feeling of, yes, you have this growing passion and feeling of attachment and connection, but you have to be mindful about who you spend your time with, right? Not only who, but what you spend your time doing, what you are thinking about, what kinds of things you are, reading, watching, whatever. Because it does. It affects our psyche. It affects the way that we look at the world, right? When I find myself watching a lot of true crime stuff, I start to think everybody could end up on Dateline, right? Everybody could end up being some villain. I get very, very it's not just paranoid. I mean, I just feel, I'm noticing behaviors and patterns and how people are acting and, whatever. And I'm very suspicious. But when I don't spend as much time with these things, I don't think about it as much. Now, am I cautious? Yes. Am I probably overly vigilant? Yeah, absolutely. But this also, it happens with people. It happens with people. Now, I've told you, probably if you've watched my readings before, maybe this is your first time and you don't know, but I've told the channel, I've said in my readings, I'm in recovery, okay, for substance abuse. And almost 10 years now in recovery. But during that time, I've been pretty involved with 12-step. So like AA, NA, that kind of thing. And I will tell you, this is not, there's very little nuance to this. When you are in recovery, if you fall back in with old people that you were, running around partying and doing stuff with, you're almost like 100% likely to get right back into it. Or, listen, you could be like me, almost 10 years out. It's not actually out. It's called coming back in. I'm in. But yeah, you could be a decade, right, of good, clean time. And say you meet somebody. Oh, you really like him. You really like her. She's wonderful. She's, all the things. But they drink a lot. They might do something else. I don't know. Whatever. Some other kind of substance in this example. And you find yourself loosening your ideas about your recovery. And you find yourself maybe I'll just have one. We'll be cool. We're good together. I'm not going to spiral. And then next thing you know, you're back in it. So you must be brutally intentional about who you get close to, who you allow into your life, into your sacred spaces. And that's not always easy. It's not always easy. I have this want to connect to people all the time, and I think a lot of us do. Now, not everybody. Like my husband, for instance, that guy, he's lovely, very warm, very inviting, and you probably know him. He's over at Dove and Serpentero. I've never met somebody who is so honestly a solitary person. you know, he's just in his own, he does family stuff, he does work stuff, and then, you know, he has his own magical world that he also has. And some people are just like that. I think that he probably, he could, if we didn't have, you know, my daughter, of course, especially, and myself, I think he could live in, you know, like hermit mode forever, which is awesome. I think that's really cool. But then, you know, I think there are a lot of us who we need to connect with others. And you as a Sagittarius, every Sagittarius person I know, maybe not like the center of attention, or you don't have this need to be in the spotlight, but you always have such a wide network of people. Like, you just know everybody. And so I'm looking at this, and it's almost kind of like this tempering. Like, okay, you're very excited about connecting, you're, you know, out there socializing, maybe doing, you know, going out more often than you had been. But there's this part of yourself, this higher part, that's saying, now, we've learned this lesson before, okay? We've let the wrong people in. And it was destructive, it was painful, it was difficult. Ultimately, right? A lot of heartache. Maybe some trouble. But this time we're not going to do that. Now we also have this person sitting over here, okay? So very much like the Empress posture, you can see, even the feet kind of look the same. And above, the exclamation mark. So I feel almost like, because the Empress to me is all about growth, about transformation, about renewal, rebirth, this kind of thing, I see this archetype within self really proud of what you're doing. You are being so mindful. You are taking care of your peace, of yourself. Right? And it might feel at times like, well, maybe I'm being judgmental. Maybe I'm, you know, maybe I shouldn't exclude people from my life. Or maybe I should be more open and inviting and whatever. But the reality is, you know when somebody does not belong. You know when there is no space for a certain kind of energy or behavior or whatever. So don't go against that feeling, because nobody can tell you. Now your mom, you know, your grandma, they probably are pretty good at saying that's not really your friend. You know, you can think back to like you're 13 years old and mom says, you know, you come home crying or something because some kid that you were hanging out with, you know, did something wrong. And your mom says, I told you, that girl is not your friend. She hangs around, but she's not your friend. And you said, Mom, you don't know what you're talking about. We just got in a fight. And, you know, as it plays out, you see you got a snake in the grass. And your mom knew the whole time. So, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this and it feels like, yeah, you're listening to that instinct within self. You're doing really well at honoring your peace. Okay? And choosing connections of quality over quantity, right? Less middle friends, right? Somewhere between an acquaintance and a friend and maybe even an enemy, right? A weird mix there. More acquaintances, fewer amazing friends, not a lot in the middle. I don't know. That's just me. I guess I'm getting older, because to me, it's like you either are all the way my family now, or, you know, you're just some person. You're just some person. And so, Yeah. Yes, I think this is it is a wonderful place to get into where you feel confident in this way. For me, it was having a daughter, having a child. I just learned to say no. And I had her during COVID. So, oh shoot, I'm not supposed to say that word. I'm not supposed to say it for the algorithm. Sorry, algorithm. But yeah, it taught me to say, nah, we're not doing that. Sorry, love you, but I'm not. We're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything. Don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I have to choose what's best, right? And yeah, and that, I don't know. It's something about motherhood, I think. It changes something in you where you just, you're not going to be ran over anymore. You're not going to bend to the will of others. Now, we also have the horse and the cart. So there's work here. And this is about work, I think. We're switching into a work mode. Because the chariot or the horse with the cart definitely to me speaks to some kind of physical activity in the physical realm. And probably something that is about focusing on putting your efforts into growing something, growing a business, growing your money, whatever it is, something like that. Now, we have the number 6 up here. Okay, right there. And then up here we have the Hierophant. So we have kind of the high priest wearing a robe with the head of a deer. And I get the feeling that you have been finding a way, considering, planning, maybe even have begun or have started, a business or a side hustle that has something to do with your spirituality, your gifts. Now, I always think of Sagittarius people as being healers. You are one of the great healing signs. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is like going into Reiki. It could be something more Western medicine, acupuncture. Now it is approved as Western medicine, right? It is Eastern. But yeah, something like this, reflexology, again, the same kind of an Eastern thing. But hey, now insurance pays for these things. I think the insurance, a lot of them will even pay for cupping at this point. But I do. And maybe it is that you are like in dentistry or like a chiropractor or a physical therapist or something. Maybe going into your own practice, or I don't know exactly. Maybe finding a way where it's a partnership or like I said, starting your own thing. Maybe you are going to open like a place where you can do Reiki healings. And this really feels like it's like a graduation. That's what I keep thinking in my head. It's like a graduation. Like you're graduating into this deeper part of your life where that spiritual realm can overlap with the physical, mundane world, right? It's not like compartmentalized where I go to work and I do my thing and make my money and then I come home and then I can be spiritual there, right? You're finding a way for these things to come together. And I feel like it's almost like it's like I can't not do, like I can't live the way that I've been living any longer. Like there's no other way but than to go straight forward into this thing, It might even be that you are doing divination, like tarot reading or astrology, or, you know, my husband now, he just opened his website. He's doing geomancy and I Ching now. So, you know, maybe something a little, these are not super obscure arts, but they're lesser known, definitely. So it could be any of these kinds of things, but I see you getting to a place where you are connecting with other people, heart to heart. You are doing the work that you want to do. Not only that you want to do, you need to do. Like, this is your calling. And you're finding a way to, yeah, make some resources from it. Okay? It feels, I feel like it's like you, maybe for the first time in a long time, I feel like you are really proud of how far you've come. Like, I could see you looking at this and getting it going, and you're thinking, it's like I'm finally really a grown up, you know, like I've had those moments where I look around and I think, oh my gosh, I'm like fully, yeah, like almost 40 now. I'm fully a grown up now, you know, but it feels like, not because you have this, you know, work or job or business, but because you're doing something that you love, that is a passion to you, that is your calling. And that feels like you've been initiated into some higher purpose. And I think that is a beautiful thing. Absolutely. Now we're going to do our Oracle of the Radiant Sun. And I'm just going to flip through. We're going to do 3 of them. And I kind of just want to know what this next week is going to be like for you. So we have empathy, power, companionship. Okay, so I do feel like through this new work that you're doing, this is maybe why you are even thinking about having new friendships or connecting to people. And why the universe is kind of telling you, hey, you're giddy, hey, you're excited, hey, you're doing a great job, but make sure, listen, make sure, right, that you're not just looking at everything with those rose-colored lenses, right? You still have to be discerning. And, you know, I think it's, when you feel good, you get into a place of like seeing the best in everything, which is an amazing ability, right? But it can lead to problems with people, especially other people, especially if they don't have the same kinds of intentions that you have. So overall, I feel like this is a beautiful time. A beautiful time, and a time where you are feeling in your place of power, okay? And your heart is open. You are an empath. I know that. I don't even have to ask. You're a Sagittarius, so I know that. And the companionship is happening, right? It is. And it feels good. Now, we also have the hunter, huntress under the crescent moon. Okay, so here and here. And to me, this really feels like, there's almost kind of, it's almost kind of like a dream. What is this? Kind of almost like you're seeing somebody as they are, almost their authentic self. That's what it feels like. Like you have somebody in your life and you've been dreaming about them. And you're seeing them as somebody, maybe they look different in your dreams. They feel like you know it's them, but they feel very different. And so I feel like this is almost kind of an invitation to go deeper with this person. And I do feel they have, either you or them have this, and well, listen, we do have that hunter-huntress energy with the bow beneath the moon. I'm thinking Diana. We have that lunar energy. So I do feel like this is probably you. Okay. And gosh, it just feels like such a belovedness. I feel like this is very like unexpected. But it does. It feels like you've been invited in to know them more than you ever have. So I'm interested if you know who this is. I just can imagine like you running through the forests at night, leaping over things and, you know, and then coming to a stop and you see this person and they show themselves to you. And you know them, and you think, why are you here? How are you here? You know? And then what? I don't know. But there's this recognition. Now we also have the number 777. Okay, so very lucky number. It's actually a jackpot, right? So we're going to do our Cincy Child affirmation cards. And I'm just going to go ahead and flip through. I'm going to stop where it feels right. It says, I am at peace with my past and focus on a future full of gratitude and abundance. I am at peace with my past and focus on a future full of gratitude and abundance. All right. I'm going to go ahead and tell you I love you because I do, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And if you want to leave a comment, do it. I read them all. All right. I love you. Take care of yourself. We'll talk in a few days. Good night. Good night. Good night.